bum 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 bum. Yes, thank you. It's another rousing day and another edition of Honey, I Shrunk the News. Thank you for joining me. I am here with my buddy Honey over here. Me and Honey are hanging out, and we're going to get right to it today because we've got a lot of news. Some of it is breaking. Boom. So right now, it is time for this.
Seems like you don't have a clue, so honey, I shrunk the news.
Hey.
You look like you got too much to do, so honey, I shrunk, honey, I shrunk, honey, I shrunk the news.
Aw, thank you, Honey. Thank you. That's really sweet of you. Honey made that song for me, so thank Honey for making that intro song. Honey's a big part of the production here. He won't say much. We have a lot of fights, though. He brings a lot of content, gives me everything I need here. So, Honey, what do we have first? Let's get up and going. All right, so the breaking news of the last kind of like hour here, actually, is that Sony Pictures has bought Alamo Drafthouse. That's right, that is breaking. That's Sony Pictures, the movie studio, film production studio. Sony, they own all. They have bought Alamo Drafthouse. What I don't know is if my ticket for tonight to Back to the Future Part 3 is still valid. I'm assuming no. But apparently Variety has just released that Sony Pictures Entertainment has acquired Alamo Drafthouse Cinema, the theater chain that inspired a passionate following with its creative cocktails, extensive food menu, and strict no talking, no texting policy. And that is a big deal. People don't want moviegoers that are a big piece of garbage. So the fact that they do kind of enforce the no texting thing, it's appreciated. If you're going to shell out the cash, you want to make sure that you have a good movie-going experience. Alamo Drafthouse has always done a good job of that for me. So the media company acquired Alamo Drafthouse from owners Altamont Capital Partners. And I touched on that briefly a little bit last week, that I think they'd been owned by kind of a venture capital group, Altamont Capital Partners, Fortress Investment Group, and its founder, Tim League. There used to be Sony Theaters here, Lowe's. Man, that Lowe's at Spring Valley, was it called Keystone? Was it called Keystone? Like Keystone Light? Lowe's Keystone? Right there at like Spring Valley and 75. Saw a lot of good movies at that Lowe's Keystone. So under its new ownership, Alamo Drafthouse will be managed under a newly established division. So this will be Sony Pictures Experiences. So in a press release touting the sale, the company said it, quote, reinforces the long-held commitment to theatrical exhibition and continued initiatives in experiential entertainment. So that's nice. Yeah, Keystone and City Place. That's right. We did have a City Place. I went to City Place a couple times. Popcorn was good. Good popcorn at City Place. I recall that. Keystone, popcorn was solid. I saw a lot of weird, bad movies. They're all flooding back to me right now because I went to Keystone a ton. Hung out with a lot of Richardson gals in my day, even though I was from Lake Highlands. And it seemed like even Highland Park people wouldn't, back then, they wouldn't go north of 635 right there. So you'd have to go down to City Place or like one of those Glen 8 United Artists, like kind of Park Lane area things. So if you're hanging out with Parkies up north, you hit the Keystone. So, man, I don't know what happened to those theaters. Is one of them a studio movie grill now? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, apparently Alamo has quietly been looking for offers for the last little bit. So they've been like privately trying to find a buyer. They couldn't find a buyer. So I guess Sony stepped in here. The CEO is going to remain intact. So Michael Kusterman, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Kusterman's last stand is what this might be here. But he will remain CEO. And I guess the COO of Sony Pictures Entertainment is the one who confirmed that. All 35, this is where I got to get into the nitty gritty. All 35 of the chain cinemas will operate under the Alamo Drafthouse brand. So does 35 include, I'll have to go look this up, does 35 include the recently shuttered DFW and Minnesota location, or was it previously 41 locations and now those 6 are just permanently gone? So I'll have to go look at the total count. I'll go dig into the Dallas, what this means for the Dallas area in just a moment here. The company's headquarters remains in Austin, Texas. Beautiful. Believe strongly in engaging entertainment fans outside the home in fun and distinctive ways. So I guess they're really just in on the experiential stuff. Sony's moved more aggressively into the live experience spaces in the last little bit. They launched something called Wonderverse Chicago, which definitely sounds like someplace there where you would drop acid or something like that if you go to the Wonderverse. Or it sounds like a bad Spider-Man film. But apparently that is an immersive entertainment space that featured Ghostbusters and Jumanji VR experience, and like a Zombieland themed bumper cars. Also, Bad Boys racing simulators and other attractions tied to its films. Sony doesn't have a ton of films. They've got Ghostbusters. They've done well. Warner and Universal, I think, have more films that I connect with. Sony's got the Spider-Mans. Warner Brothers has the Batmans and stuff like that. So it's tough. Ghostbusters is a kick-ass franchise, though. They hit it out of the park on Ghostbusters. All right. The Alamo, though, founded in 1997 by Tim and Carrie League as a single-screen repertory theater in Austin. So I was in Austin in 2004, and I think the Alamo was still, I don't know when they got acquired and started expanding. There definitely weren't any in Dallas back then in 2003, 2004. So it was a great experience to go to Alamos in Austin back in that era. And then I don't know when they exactly, I hope they come back. I do promotional materials installations. Oh, bummer for Robert Weir there. Yes, I too would like all of the DFW locations to come back here. But yeah, back in the day, I definitely saw a few comedy shows where they would do, I don't know, they probably still do them, and it's not a unique thing, but like the Mystery Science Theater style stand-up comedy bits, or like, commentary along bits to movies. And you just pick bad movies and have three guys who are decent at riffing, and you're not going to get great film commentary out of them. But if you get in a live room with enough people and you've got good comedians and it's the perfect type of movie and they've done it enough. So back then, I think it was called Mr. Sinus Theater down at the Austin Alamo. But great stuff. I'm glad they've been acquired. Alamo's got a very loyal fan base, so I'm sure Sony will get something out of this in terms of brand loyalty versus having to, like Robert mentioned, respin off like a Sony Theaters division or a new Lowe's division of Sony Theaters. So cool. Awesome. Very good stuff. I don't know much about it. This just broke in the last hour. I do like seeing words like jazzed. So financial terms of the deal were not disclosed. Goldman Sachs did act as exclusive financial advisor to Alamo Drafthouse in the transaction. I'm sure nothing bad's ever happened with Goldman Sachs. But it is a historic deal either way. So I think all sides are pretty jazzed about it either way. All around is what it looks like. The word jazzed. I'm jazzed that our company is doing this, is in this variety piece. So good for Sony. Sony is, quote, jazzed. All right. Now to a study I've not read anything about. Apparently, Harvard said something about how aliens are living among us. I'm unsure what this is, but Master Pancake from Austin is hilarious. I think I have seen that name. I got to look up some of that stuff because, yeah, there's got to be new versions of that. Aliens might be living among us disguised as humans is the next headline we're digging into here. And I'm just going to go ahead and throw it on the screen because I need that on there. I need this in a banner. Give me the banner. No, you son of a bee. Just put it on there. Sorry, I'm dealing with too much stuff. There we go. Save that. Give me my banner. That's right. Breaking news. Aliens might be living among us disguised as humans or in a base inside the moon, according to a new Harvard study. And so, this is legit because it's from Harvard and it was on the New York Post. What do you think about that, honey? He doesn't have much today. So I have not dug into the details of this one crazy amount. So I don't know when the study was initially commissioned and stuff like that, but aliens might be living among us, according to a study by Harvard academics. A new paper suggests extraterrestrials could be living underground or in a base inside the moon. All right, let's stop right there. I think this is a Chris Arnold vindicated moment because I do recall Chris Arnold mentioning many times that the moon is not a moon or something like that. And I didn't know what he meant at the time, but I get it now. If the moon is just there to not be a moon, but to be more akin to like the Truman Show, or maybe there's some weird Ed Harris guy named Christoph up there just like watching everybody, then maybe that's what's going on here. So the study by Harvard University's Human Flourishing Program puts forward the idea that UFOs or UAPs may be spaceships visiting their Earth-based alien friends. That's no moon. That's right. Jay, how did you get how did you figure out that I used Great Value Honey? I clearly photoshopped out the little portion here that says Great Value, and now it says I see honey. Okay, so let me go back to my banner here. How do I just hide it? Hide everything. All right. So yeah, now it just says I see honey over here. Where's it? Let me monitor. There we go. I see honey. So yeah, it said Great Value before. They can't bust me on this because now it just says Icy Honey. So we should be clean. I don't think there's an Icy Honey company out there. We should be all good. But yes, I did just get the Walmart one. His face looked the most horrifying. He looks terrified, doesn't he? Honey looks like he's seen some shit. Honey walked in on his wife hooking up with 3 other bears. It messed Honey up. So me and Honey, we've been friends for a while. He hangs out. Like I said, he sends me show ideas. He's constantly in my tweets and DMs, just firing off like, hey, this would be a good, cool idea for a story. So eventually we're just like, all right, Honey, come on the show. I'll shrink the news just for you, Honey. Okay. So apparently these researchers at Harvard here, if you're just now joining us, we are studying the breaking news that apparently aliens might be living among us disguised as humans or in a base inside the moon, according to a new Harvard study. That's right, Harvard. So the researchers have investigated these so-called crypto-terrestrials. So already it's sounding a little shady. We're going down a weird road, but I'm fine. I'm in. It's all good. These could be disguising themselves as humans to fit in, may have come from Earth's future, or might have descended, this is my favorite part, from intelligent dinosaurs. Yes, intelligent dinosaurs. Give it to me. Intelligent dinosaurs among us is what I've always dreamed about. Yeah, fade down, X-Files, I know. So the only way that could happen is if dinosaurs at some point in time started hooking up after the asteroid hit and then figured out, all right, we've got to keep our species alive. We've got to get to space. Somehow we have to keep the species alive and ensure that we maintain superior intelligence over the human race. So that's clearly what they've done. Is they've maintained some kind of gang aliens, scary as hell. They were that smart. Why aren't they here? Well, that's the thing, Robert. They are here. They're here all the time. They're so intelligent that they spend all their time hooking up with each other, got up to space, and now they can not only fly in and out of the moon or their underground bases, but they're so smart, we haven't even figured out that they're still alive. That's how intelligent these dinosaurs are. So you thought Opening Doors, they probably laughed at that effing movie. They're like, Jurassic Park? You thought Velociraptors Opening Doors was cool? We are hanging out in space right now, disguised from you, laughing at you idiots. So I think Harvard is onto something here with hyper-intelligent dinosaurs. So apparently 4 theories on aliens living near humans are investigated. The first are human crypto-terrestrials. So this would be a technologically advanced ancient human civilization that was largely destroyed long ago by a flood, but continued to exist in remnant form. Interesting. The second are a hominid or theropod crypto-terrestrials. So I know theropods are like the weird octopus kind of like man thingies, right? I think that's a theropod. Where they got the weird like gilly things or like the squiggly things. So a technologically advanced non-human civilization consisting of some terrestrial animal which evolved to live in stealth, e.g., underground. The paper suggests that these could be an ape-like hominid descendant, or, as I mentioned, descendants of, quote, unknown, intelligent dinosaurs. I've seen enough movies. There's commonly, in those sci-fi movies, some big guy on a scary screen who looks like he's covered in scales and gills, and he's demanding things. Otherwise, they're going to shoot down our ship, or they're going to shoot and blow up our entire planet. And that's right, Robert. Mystery Science Theater for Rodeo MT, and damn right, reptilian aliens. I'm honestly going to say it does make a lot of sense. I don't know if this particular paper from Harvard is going to go in if they've like infiltrated human life, a la Men in Black, or some of the other weirder, like conspiracy theory stuff you hear out there with, lizard people and what have yous. So what other? So those are the first two. The third cryptoterrestrials, are former extraterrestrials or extraterrestrial cryptoterrestrials. Holy hell. That's my favorite new thing to say. Extraterrestrial cryptoterrestrials. Those would have arrived on Earth from elsewhere in the cosmos or from the human future, respectively, and concealed themselves in stealth, such as inside the moon. Theory 4, dubbed CTH4, are, quote, magical cryptoterrestrials, entities which are less like homegrown aliens and more like earthbound angels. Let's go down the unicorn poop. All right. Lizard people live in the White House. Exactly. All those kinds of things. The paper says these relate to the world inhabited by humans in ways that are less technological than magical, giving the examples of fairies, elves, and nymphs. Nymphs are the ones that like to hook up, I think. So if they're out there, I'm in. The academics do conclude that their theories, especially the elves suggestion, might be hard to take by many people. I think they're correct. I think they're very astute in understanding that it might be difficult for people to swallow that there are elves here on Earth concealing themselves stealthily. We've been conditioned by those Keebler elves already, so we know they might be hiding in trees, making delicious elf fudge cookies, or those thin mint knockoffs. I think they're called grasshoppers. So we do have some indication that there might be elves among us. But seeing Harvard just put it out there and say that there might be elves in the moon, hadn't seen that before. The principal weakness of the elf theory is its utter strangeness, particularly for readers schooled to limit themselves to modes of explanations within the bounds of the standard model of physics. Bunch of squares, right? Harvard's not about the standard model of physics. We're about elves. Elves and nymphs, baby. That's what we're here to do. We're here to get millions of dollars in research grants to study magical elves and nymphs that you can never prove are real. Brilliant. These guys, they're running the best con I've ever seen, and I love it. While belief in extraterrestrials is tenable, belief in something like fairies is simply not an option for many scientists, unfortunately. Yeah, elves, nymphs, fairies, they're just not into it. I guess they don't care about Tinkerbell. Tinkerbell exists to me, all right? She sprinkles her little Tinkerbell dust and she flies in and out of Never Never Land, I'm pretty sure. I think she can go back and forth. Maybe she's trapped there, but I think she goes back and forth. The paper, entitled The Cryptoterrestrial Hypotheses, a case for scientific openness to concealed earthly explanation for unidentified anomalous phenomenon, is not yet peer-reviewed. So, some Harvard geeks have put it out, and now everybody's talking about it, and nobody knows if it's even true. What a rip. All right. On to the next story here. There's a new ride opening at Six Flags, apparently. So the new ride at Six Flags is no new ride at all. But I don't know if I'm in or out yet. So there's this ride that my kids and I always go on because it's when Dad gets to sit down. And it's when the kids kind of feel like they're driving, even though they're not. And it's those old timey chaparral antique cars. So it's typically not very busy, makes them feel like they're doing something. You can get some photos of them. It's a solid time. So I had no idea they were redoing them, but apparently this is the new ride. The new ride is a reimagination, apparently. So the Dino Off-Road Adventure Ride opens on Saturday of this week with a fleet of 14 vehicles to take adventure-ready riders along a 1,470-foot track with 15 life-size dinosaur animatronics. So they must have rethemed this whole section. So where there used to just be like a little track of old-timey cars going around there, now it looks like there's animatronic dinosaurs all about and a 1,470-foot track. I don't know if they redid the track or if that was always the length. But apparently it's one of the oldest and longest operated rides there, debuted in 1962. So it's a dinosaur itself of a ride. It was always an antique car thing. So I'm down with the retheming. But yeah, big news there. Now, here's where they get you. If you want to ride this puppy and you want to ride it on the day of, you can't. Not until the end of the day. So Diamond Season Pass holders are going to be able to ride this new Dino Off-Road Adventure on June 14th. And then the like regular Season Pass holders like myself are able to ride from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. on the 15th. So I don't know. Maybe I'll make my way out there and I'll be one of the first like legit Season Pass holders. But I'm not going to upgrade to Diamond. I don't want to upgrade to Diamond just to ride it one day in advance. And then the ride finally opens to the public at 4 p.m. on June 15th. So I'm pretty sure that's this Saturday, old June 15th. I don't have a calendar in front of me. Don't care that much about calendars. How do calendars work? Let's go look at one real quick. 15th. Yeah, that's Saturday, man. Hell yeah. I nailed that. All right. On to other news here. We've got some breaking news. Our friends at Whataburger. Great people at Whataburger there. Love them. Outstanding people. They used to be better when they were from Texas, and then they went to Chicago, and then they went lots of places. And that's what they've been doing, is expanding like crazy. So Whataburger is apparently mad, and they have sued a North Carolina restaurant group for using a very similar name. So essentially what happened here is there's this little restaurant in this little restaurant in North Carolina called Whataburger 13, and it's still got like the hyphens in between the burger. So the two hyphens surround the A in the middle there, unlike the normal Whataburger that we all know and love, which is now just one big word, Whataburger. So what a burger number 13, and that's like pound 13, hashtag 13. That's the name of the restaurant in North Carolina. Apparently, they've been there and had a trademark since 1969. Well, back in 1950, in Texas, there was a restaurant named Whataburger that also filed for their trademark. Cool. Typically, how that goes in federal trademark law, especially in the 50s, I'm sure 50s and 60s, they were like, okay, yeah, you're one guy who's opening a burger restaurant in North Carolina, and it's called What a Burger number 13. Yeah, we'll give you the trademark there. Same thing with Whataburger in 1950. All right, cool. You want to open a chain or you want to open a burger place called Whataburger? Knock it out. Yes, they both offer the same things. It's pretty tricky to nail down usage, I would imagine, in like the 50s and 60s across everywhere in the country. So you just look at what's there. So 1950 versus 1969 means that Whataburger number 13 is going to lose any like trademark infringement case that goes against them. So what they did is 2 years ago, apparently, Whataburger number 13 was approached by Whataburger Corporate, based out of Chicago and Texas here. And they're like, hey, we want to move into North Carolina. You're already in North Carolina, so we can't have another restaurant named Whataburger in North Carolina. So here's what we'll do. You've been around a long time. And so they like entered into a confidential agreement. So Whataburger claims the two businesses reached a confidential coexistence agreement that allowed Whataburger number 13 to still use its name at its existing 2 brick and mortar locations, but then said that Whataburger went on to violate that order, apparently. And I think they said that they used it. It's been reported like 4 times that they were using it on 2 other locations or had potentially tried to like brand it in other markets where they weren't supposed to or something like that. So people are all big mad about Whataburger in North Carolina using some weird name. Where's my Whataburger thing? Yeah, I don't know who's reporting the mixed usage of it or something like that, because apparently they can use it on 2 brick and mortars and 1 food truck and be like, they've used it in other places 4 times. I don't know who's reporting that to them. I don't know. Perhaps David the Gnome did. And then in our final story of the day, it'll be real quick. Apparently, a Qdoba has been suspended for 10 days after a customer says a razor blade was found in their burrito. So I don't know that we have a lot of Qdobas around here, but I don't know what suspended means. So the headline just says Qdoba suspended for 10 days after customer says razor blade was in their burrito. Amazing headline, by the way. So yeah, it's going to be closed for 10 days after being suspended by the Milwaukee Common Council. So I guess if somebody just complains and says they found a razor blade in their food, somebody else can just get you shut down. So I never really thought about that. Razor blade is pretty dangerous, though. So the suspension comes following an incident on November 1st, 2023, so late last year, in which a customer found a razor blade in their burrito after watching it be made. Yeah, that's the thing. It would be like going to a Chipotle or a interesting. Yeah, it would be like going to a Chipotle or a Subway or anything like that. So the guy said he ate 1 burrito in the restaurant and brought a second one home. He then warmed up the second burrito and located a blade inside, according to a police report. So it didn't happen on the premises. No video of him, like biting into the blade, discovering the blade in real time or anything like that. Interesting. Okay. Ron Stokes, president of the Roaring Fork Restaurant Group, said at a hearing before the licenses committee last month that it was unclear if the restaurant was responsible for the razor blade being in the burrito. I agree. How can you put that on me? What happens to a man's burrito once he leaves my restaurant is between him and that burrito. I don't know what people do to their burritos. Frankly, I don't want to know. If he wants to go put razor blades in there, or if like somebody doesn't like him and they're poisoning him with razor blades, don't shut down my Qdoba. Ugh. At the committee hearing, Stokes disagreed with the police report that states the blade is an exact match for the box cutters at the restaurant. Uh-oh. And accidentally fell into the burrito from the plastic encasing. I mean, all razor blades are kind of an exact match for the box cutter ones, right? Quote, it wasn't as if we had any instrument in our facility that was missing a blade. There's some discrepancy in terms of that actually happening. Okay. Yeah, so what a weird little case. Yeah, all right. Well, I guess they've just been suspended. This was an unfortunate incident that we took serious. No one was harmed. Either way, it does just sound like an accident. It doesn't sound like malicious. It's weird. Anyway, that's the final story of the day. If you are going to eat anything, look out. There might be a burrito in it, but that'll do it. I'm just going to play the intro song again because why not? Let's take it out on this.
New York.
No, not New York, Steve. What do we... I forget where to go. Where's my... Oh, I'm bad on this. Oh, Shrunk the News is over here. It's this one, not New York, Steve. And now we'll take it out on this.
Seems like you don't have a clue. So, honey, I shrunk the news. You look like
Sing
you
it,
got too
honey.
much to do. So, honey, I shrunk.
Honey.
Honey, I shrunk.
Yeah.
Honey, I shrunk the news.
Honey loves it. Thanks for joining. Have a good one, cats.